On this edition of Maury County Now, find out how Save the Athenaeum is helping to raise funds through cemetery tours of Rosehill. Tennessee Home Garden Design grows tall with the trees at River Bend. Adam Southern continues with part 2 of the lead up to the battles of Spring Hill, Franklin, and Nashville. And finally, an exclusive interview and behind-the-scenes look at the Boys and Girls Club renovation project. All this and more on this edition of Maury County Now. Hello, and welcome to Maury County Now, Columbia and Maury County's news show covering the events, ideas, groups, and happenings in and around Maury County. Many people don't know the importance and stories behind local landmarks, but the team behind Save the Athenaeum is here to help. Here's Maury County Now's own Adam Southern with the dig on how you can help the Athenaeum and learn a little bit about one of the Southeast's best cemeteries.
Hello, I'm Adam Southern, and today we're at Rosehill Cemetery to talk about a program that's coming up on September 19th and 20th. The Maury County APTA, headquartered at the Athenaeum Rectory, is still seeking donations to help restore the Athenaeum. Thankfully, work began at the Athenaeum a couple of weeks ago, and they're restoring the front of the building, but we still need some money. So we're still working, trying to come up with some great fundraisers, and one of those is the Rosehill Cemetery Tour. And as I said, it'll be on September 19th and 20th here at Rosehill Cemetery. And this is just a beautiful historic cemetery here in Columbia, Tennessee. The cemetery dates back to 1852. They were running out of space in Greenwood Cemetery downtown, so they decided to start looking for another cemetery. So they came south of Columbia and they found this site. Nathan Vault was one of the first founders of this cemetery, and he went to Georgia and brought back 80 pine trees with him. And some of those pine trees are still here in the cemetery. He's also buried here in Plot O. But yeah, he was one of the first founders, and by 1853 they were having their first burials here. And then, of course, shortly after that, the Civil War came, and that saw a great influx in people being buried here, especially when the Battle of Spring Hill, Franklin, and Nashville took place. These Confederate soldiers died in Franklin, Nashville, and on the retreat back, they stopped in Columbia and buried their dead. And many of those are in the Confederate section here, about 123 of them. But in addition to the soldiers, there's probably 300 Civil War soldiers buried here. Many World War I, II, just any of the American wars, they're buried here. But the founding fathers of Columbia are buried here. As I said, Nathan Vault, Maury County's master builder, buried here. U.S. Senator Edward Ward Carmack buried here. So the list can go on and on. Just a beautiful historic cemetery. What makes Rosehill Cemetery unique is really the architecture of the stones here. You can look all over and never see a duplicate stone in Rosehill Cemetery because, you know, these were all hand-cut stones. Several people in Columbia specialized in just making tombstones. So these tombstones are very unique, and if you go up the hill here to the Confederate section, you will never see another Confederate monument that looks like that. That's the only one in the United States that looks like that. And it was actually the first one in the United States to ever be erected. So this is a very unique place. On the September 19th and 20th tour, you'll get to hear a lot about the interesting people that are buried here, our founding fathers, eccentric people, the colorful folks from Maury County's past. And tour tickets are $10 per person. And there's also a discount for children. And as I said, this money is going to the Maury County APTA, but it's also a percentage of the tour is being given to the Rosehill Cemetery Association because it costs about $7,000 every time they have this place mowed. And they are quickly running through their endowment. So this way we're getting to help 2 sites at once. You're helping the Maury County APTA, the Athenaeum Rectory, and you're helping Rosehill Cemetery. To find out more information, find the Save the Athenaeum project on Facebook.com and or check our events page on the AthenaeumRectory.com.
Kyle's back, this time with some arborist decisions. Make like a tree and leave on this edition of Tennessee Home Garden and Design.
Hi, I'm Kyle Bratton with Rocky Top Outdoors, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Home Garden and Design. Trees are an important part of any landscape, but figuring out where and when to plant can be difficult. Steve Bennett with Riverbend Nurseries is here to give us some insight.
Hi, I'm Steve Bennett, General Manager, Riverbend Nurseries. Here today to talk about trees. We've been in the tree business for many years. That's what we started with. From the onset, we tried to be different from other nurseries, if you will. And at that time, we went to the National Arboretum in DC and became a cooperator with the Arboretum in DC. And were able at that point to get things that had not been released yet from them. So we've been on the front end of new product ever since we've been in business here. So we've tried to keep that kind of to differentiate us from other nurseries in the area and around the United States too. We have many varieties of Jap maples, dogwoods, magnolia, all kinds of red maples, sugar maples, whatever you want really. We've actually got a tree that we've patented, and I don't know if you knew that you could patent a tree or not, but it's called Cascading Hearts Redbud. And it's one that we started focusing on in 1998, I believe, and we looked at it for about 5 years and then did some DNA testing on it and all that kind of thing that you have to do before you patent a tree. But we've had that on the market now for many years and have several growers around the U.S. and actually have a grower in Israel that's growing it and sending it to the European market. As far as this time of year, we're getting into fall, and fall is an excellent time to plant trees because you can get them in the ground and they'll acclimate and root in actually even when the leaves are not on, and establish themselves in the ground, and they'll wake up in the spring and be ready to go, and you don't have to give them quite as much attention as you would if you planted them in late spring or summer for sure. You can find out more information about Riverbend Nurseries on the web, riverbendnurseries.com, or by calling us anytime, 468-2008, area code 615. Or stop by our retail location, 2008 Lewisburg Pike. Or if you're a contractor, we also have a wholesale side, which we've had for many years at 2850 East Thompson Station Road.
If you have any questions about what you've seen today, go to my website, RockyTopOutdoors.com. Give me a call, 615-392-0751. I'm Kyle. We'll see you next time.
We'll be back with more Maury County Now after this.
Maury County Now is sponsored by First Farmers and Merchants Bank.
Preventing wildfires. That's all Smokey wants for his 70th birthday.
Once every 3 hours, a fire death occurs in America. 80% of these deaths could be prevented with a working smoke alarm. Hi, I'm Lee Bergeron, Chief of the Columbia Fire Department. The men and women of the Columbia Fire Department would like for you to have a working smoke alarm in your home. We have a program that if you call 931-560-1700, our men and women will come and place a working smoke alarm in your residence. We know by doing this helps make you safer and makes our city a safer place to work and live. These smoke alarms are brought to us on a grant by Governor Haslam and Commissioner Julie McPeak. Their goal is to place 20,000 working smoke alarms in residents in Tennessee. We know and they know by doing this we can help save lives and prevent the young and the elderly from perishing in fires. Thank you very much.
We're back with more Maury County Now on PowerNet 13.
Adam Southern is back, this time with his rifle at the ready. The conflict heats up on part 2 of the lead to the battles of Spring Hill, Franklin, and Nashville, only on this edition of Historic Maury County.
Hello, I'm Adam Southern, and this is another edition of Historic Maury County. Now let's pick up today where we left off last time. General John Bell Hood had been placed in command of the Army of Tennessee, and he was facing General William Tecumseh Sherman, who had Abraham Lincoln on his back saying, "Take Atlanta." Well, Hood was placed in this position so Sherman would not take Atlanta. And he had Jefferson Davis on his back saying, "Don't let them take Atlanta." Well, make a long story short, Hood, who had promised to be more aggressive, lost about 10,000 men trying to keep Sherman away from Atlanta. And the reason he lost so many men, he was attacking when he shouldn't have. He was being aggressive when he should have been on the defensive. So he lost 10,000 men, and that's 10,000 men the Confederacy really couldn't stand to lose, and he still loses Atlanta. By September 2nd, Sherman is in control of Atlanta, and he's burning, and the city is pretty much decimated. So Hood, he's moving back, and they try to come up with another plan. And their plan is to, let's draw Sherman out, see if he will follow us, and then we'll choose our own ground and we'll attack him and destroy his army. So Hood takes his army and starts attacking all of Sherman's rails and his supply lines. And this draws Sherman's attention a little bit. And he follows him as far as Gadsden, Alabama. But Sherman wasn't taking the bait. He was like, I know what he's trying to do, and I'm not going to let him choose the battleground. But he figured that Hood would swing up eventually and go to Tennessee. So Hood stays in Gadsden, Alabama until October 22nd, 1864. He sees that Sherman's not following him any further, and he moves on and tries to find a place to cross the Tennessee River. And he ends up in Tuscumbia, Alabama, just across from Florence. And he's sitting there trying to build a pontoon bridge across the river, trying to get at least 21 days of rations before he crosses. But those rations never do come. They're slow in getting there. But while he's waiting, General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his cavalry joins Hood there in Tuscumbia. And finally they cross on November 21st. And they're starting to work their way up towards Nashville. And the whole way, a detachment of General Sherman's army under General Schofield, they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to reach Nashville before Hood does. And this turns into this great cat and mouse game. The two of these armies trying to go up at the same time. And Hood's trying to catch Schofield. And he's thinking, if I can go ahead and destroy him here, it'll be easier to take Nashville. And Schofield knows this. That's why he's trying so hard to reach Nashville. He said, I can't let him take me because it'll be too easy for him, and then Nashville's going to fall like that. Well, they finally meet up in Columbia, Tennessee on the 28th of November. And on the 29th, there's fighting all over Maury County. And it was so bad on the 28th, let's step back a day, that the Federal Army had burned a battle line, their line of fire, and it went from Elm Springs on Morsel Pike all the way to where the hospital is today. Every old tree, every old home was burned, so they would have a clear line of fire and a perfect battlefield. That's why you don't see many old homes on that southern edge of Columbia. Elm Springs was saved by the fire by a servant because the Union Army lit a broom and threw it in the closet to burn down the house, and the servant saw the smoke, went and put the fire out, and just so happens that the Confederate cavalry shows up about that time and runs the Yankees off. That's the only reason Elm Springs still stands today. But this battle that they were planning here in Columbia on the 28th, it never came. The Confederate Army pushes the Union Army up against the banks of the Duck River on the 28th. And they're waiting for the attack to take place on the 29th, but it never comes. Instead, the army would meet in a little town called Spring Hill on the next day. And on our next segment, we'll talk about the Battle of Spring Hill, Franklin, and Nashville. Thanks for watching. Come see me at the library.
The Boys and Girls Club of Maury County is getting ready for a refresh. Maury County Now was there for the unveiling of the plans. Here's Chris Pointer, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club, to tell us how they're getting ready to knock this project out.
Hi, my name is Chris Pointer, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club. I want to thank you all for joining us and being here. We just recently finished up our teen center renovation kickoff. The project actually starts, if you go back to when we had kids actually first move into the facility. Our friends at First Presbyterian stepped up, and from that point on in 1999, you know, it's kind of blossomed and ballooned from, you know, one kid showing up into our facility to now with us serving over 300 kids between two facilities. You know, this building is about 74 years old. And with the building that old and the way that it's designed, it's not designed for a Boys and Girls Club. So it's seen its share of struggles and wear and tear and time and footprints and handprints of kids. And so, of course, you know, we have ceiling tiles that are falling down, tile that's chipping, paint on the floor that's come up, and of course our roof has leaked just based on the design. And we have other issues that are of great concern, and that's what kind of led us to writing this grant for the Lowe's renovation. And I think it's important to know that across the country there's over 4,000 Boys and Girls Clubs, and there was only 20 selected for this project. And that's just a testament to the team that we have and the great work in putting this project together to submit it forward to get it approved and accepted. I think some of the greatest features that are taking place are happening downstairs. Of course, you all seen footage of what's taking place upstairs, but of course you know that's because we got to get all of the staff out of the kids' space. We're invading their territory. So by us moving upstairs, we get out of the way, we can start renovation and demo downstairs, and the kids can have the whole downstairs to themselves. I think what's amazing is some of the features with the color schemes, the soft space has designed, you know, the games room and the cafe, which are two of my favorite. And of course, we're looking at doing a very big thing called the music studio, which we're looking for different partners in the community to try to make that happen, do some digital arts, do some things that you all are doing behind the camera and just teaching us kids a different side of art and engaging them to areas that they may not know about. We'll have study hall areas for kids, as well as they'll use some of the compartments and areas upstairs in the boardroom to kind of do some homework and things of that nature. But by far, my favorite would have to be the cafe and the games room. Probably one, because I like to eat, two, because I think it's good to have fun and relax and let your hair down. You can get involved by contacting us here at the Boys and Girls Club. Of course, our number's 931-490-9401 extension 11. Of course, you can see on the screen our website, so you don't have to try to remember it as I say it, but easily get involved. Of course, we are looking for individuals who are skilled laborers, you know, plumbers, electricians, those who hang sheetrock, do mudding, who can do tracking for ceiling tiles. You know, all of those things are very big to make sure that we execute this project thoroughly. And that we do the project correctly, because the kids deserve, you know, the very best that we have to offer them and the very best that we can give them. You can also contribute to the project. You know, if you can't necessarily pick up a hammer or have a certain set of skill, you can also contribute and donate to the project. When it's all done and the walls are up and the floor is done and you know, we have things painted and looking the way that we're doing it, we then will go out for sponsorships to sponsor rooms. We don't want to put the old furniture that we currently have back into the facility, so we want to try to make sure that we have new, fresh, inviting furniture that's sturdy, that will stand the test of time for our young people. And so we'll have those different types of elements available and those types of opportunities for those of you who all want to get involved in the project. So.
To find out more information about any of the stories you've seen on this edition of Maury County Now, check out our website at maurycountynow.com and look in the show notes for more details. Maury County Now is sponsored by First Farmers and Merchants Bank. Thanks for watching Maury County Now, and we'll see you next time.